Hello, and welcome to Women X AI, the podcast, where we explore the intersection of AI and different topics. Today, we're going to be talking about the intersection of AI and sales, and how that might be reshaping customer interactions, driving your growth, or transforming the sales process. I am so excited to introduce to you Saumya Poletti.
Hello, I am a fractional CRO. I am the founder of Rise of Us, and I am also a podcast producer and host. It's Revenue Remix. We talk about all things revenue growth, and especially the intersectionality of AI these days.
Amazing, and that is exactly why I wanted to have you on today. Next up, we have Amirah Raveneau-Bey.
Hello. Thank you so much, Jenny, for having me here. My name is Amirah Raveneau-Bey. I'm the founder of Grow Scale Develop. I also do fractional advisory as well as executive coaching and speaking, where I work with leaders and sales teams to strengthen their leadership capacity, build sustainable growth, and create sales strategies that are both authentic and effective. And over the last 25 years, I do that through my career working within FinTech, real estate, also starting my own startup, and pivoted that to bring all that experience to helping others and help their sales performance and leadership culture.
Amirah, you've really done it all, and I'm so thrilled that you're bringing that breadth of experience to the podcast today. And last but not least, we have Saumya Bhatnagar, and I am so excited to have her on. We've been in conversation a few other times, and I'm just so thrilled for you all to learn more about her startup.
Thank you for having me, Jenny. But I'm Saumya. I'm the CPO and co-founder of Involve.ai. We're building a new product under that umbrella called Jeeva, which is basically an agentic approach to helping automate sales and, kind of basically helping anyone who sells. So, I kind of come with a little more of the builder mindset and a little more of what sales reps yell at me about and what they want more on the product. So, I kind of have a good understanding of the landscape right now.
Absolutely. And speaking of a good understanding of the landscape, didn't you just get recognized in the really cool prestigious list?
Yeah, I was recognized as the top 100 women in AI, which was
Yeah.
really fun. Yeah, it's such an honor to be there with women that I look up to. So, it's just such a wonderful experience and, helps you validate that, you're doing a job you're doing it well, if not anything else.
Well, it is so well deserved. I remember opening that list and I was like, oh, getting to the founder stage. And I was like, you know who needs to be on here? Saumya. And then I saw you there and it was like perfect. So
It
I was
was
really pleased.
fun. It was really fun. My dad has a Google alert on me, so he usually sends it India time to me. So I wake up, he goes like, "You're on a list." So he just, I've got a personal person who's just telling me where I am on. So I'm really worried I don't get into like I don't say anything that really makes him like really disappointed. Where I go like, so it's fun.
That is so cool that he's so involved and that he's got a Google alert set for you. That's amazing. So I wanted to dig into our first big topic, and what I really wanted to talk about here as we're all together is why is this discussion around AI and sales matter? How are you seeing some of the things that AI is doing reshape, customer relationships and sales strategies?
Yeah, happy to jump in first, right? AI in sales is matters because it's moving so fast. It's moving really fast, and that means sales has to move even faster to stay relevant in how we interact with consumers. And customers are expecting AI to show up wherever they're interacting with products and tools and services. So I think AI in sales matters hugely because it really can begin to bridge the gap between human relationships and data-driven decision making. We've got so many tools that are out there. It's not about being experimental anymore. It's really about making them accessible, integrating them in everyday workflows, and making AI not about a luxury, but it's really to me a competitive necessity that every company needs to think about embedding in their business.
Competitive necessity. That is big. Sumaya, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I mean, the word that Amira used, which is like human relationships, I feel that is the fundamental of sales. Like it's about two humans talking to each other, building connections. And I mean, everybody would agree, even though it's an unsaid rule, you buy from people you like. So there has to be that connection that you have to build. And what AI is effectively doing is taking away this manual task that I think every sales rep anyway complains about doing, finding lead lists, cleaning it up, figuring out which emails right or not. All of this like grunt work is getting taken out to let humans do what they do best, which is building connections, having creativity, thinking more from the customer's purview or the prospect's purview to see how the product can really fit into their ecosystem. So I think that is where AI kind of excels, is taking that away, yet not replacing the human, because no one can sell better than the human.
No. And I like where you took that, and I'm going to take it even further. AI is changing how buyers buy. And the amount of time that they spend researching before they engage with a salesperson is increasing. They come with their short list now, and the sales reps need to be able to start in the middle of the conversation or the end of the conversation and help them make that final decision instead of going through the tried and true discovery processes that would frustrate a late stage buyer. They're like, no, I know all this stuff about you. So how I see it helping the sales reps that I work with is they catch up to where the buyer is, and they don't have to spend a lot of time doing so. I'm seeing AI help them prepare for meetings better, ask better, more targeted questions, and also run shorter meetings, which gives them more time to do more discovery meetings instead of spending their time researching and planning.
You had me at shorter meetings, Summer. Sign me up for that.
Oh, 1,000%, yes.
So, how are you helping your clients do that? If there is a sales cycle happening and a customer comes and they're not at day one, they've already done all this research, how do you find that out?
What we do is we put all of the playbooks into a custom GPT
Nice.
that the rep has, and they use it to help prepare for their meetings, and they'll ask it things like, here's who I'm meeting with. Where are they at? What problems do they probably have? And what should I be asking them? And it takes from the targeted list of like custom questions we wrote from them and trained the GPT on, but it customizes them based on that specific prospect and their specific industry, their specific size, their specific region. I mean, it's guessing, but it's a really, really targeted guess.
And this goes back to something I heard us talking about earlier, is that the people join people. I say that all the time because when we look at the Women X AI community, yeah, you're here for the AI insights, you're here for the learning, but at the end of the day, you're here for the people. And it sounds like that's a big piece of sales. So how do you see AI changing that, or maybe not changing that?
I don't think it does.
Yeah, it doesn't. Like that's exactly what I was gonna say. It really doesn't. I think AI just gives you more time back. It makes a sales rep more efficient, more productive, and a better sales rep. So I read about this concept, and now I won't be able to remember who wrote it, but it was on a Substack. But it's called there's this new thing called as the K economy, where they're saying that with AI, you don't have to look at your job as one umbrella item. You don't look at it as, oh, I'm a sales rep. You look at your job as, I'm a sales rep who prospects, who finds leads, who talks to customers, who closes deals, who manages renewal. And then as you go down that list, you start seeing that 80% of that will be automated and 20% of that will be augmented. So you, as a sales rep, you're augmenting that 20%, which is actually talking to people, managing objections that are very, very niche. And the rest of it just gets automated with AI. So I think it's a switch in the mindset, even though the tasks in itself fundamentally don't change, but how we're doing those tasks end up changing.
Mm. Yeah, I would also add, I mean, back in the day, I ran a big sales org, and we would tier our sales teams, and ultimately what you want to get is that expert elite salesperson. And what I actually think bringing AI in sales does, it is elevating everyone to get closer to that expertise, right? The
Yes.
top sales individuals, right? They either figured out a hacky way to prospect better, right? They understood better buying signals than others did. And they didn't rely on a script because they didn't need a script because they had enough information to deduce to be able to ask better questions. And I think what AI does is it levels the playing field for, no matter how long you've been in the sales game, to be able to now have more tools and make better decisions and ask better questions. And as a customer, you want to talk to a salesperson who seems smart and they understand their product and they're asking you smart questions. And I can sniff a script in a heartbeat when someone calls or talks to me, right? And so now I think with AI, you can get so much better and more intelligent, to ask so many better, really great questions that help shorten the sales cycle, but just make you, it brings more trust to the conversation, which ultimately leads to a better closing deal.
Absolutely. When you're talking about building that trust and using AI to help do that and ask better questions, is there a tool you recommend?
I mean, you can start really basic, right? Like if anyone doesn't have a Fathom or an Otter, right? Just the ability to take a call and get notes summarized, right? So that you can remember key indicators and bring that into the second call. Like that's like table stakes at this point, right? If you're not
Yes.
using any of those tools. So there's so many amazing great tools out there, but like that's one where I'm like when I talk to someone and they don't use signals or insights to build trust that the client told you earlier on in the last conversation, it's like that's a missed opportunity. Don't ask them things that they've already told you. And you should remember that last week they were really busy because their kids were in school because they mentioned it 3 times on the call and the otter told you that, right? So I just think that's like an easy one that people should be using. And big sales orgs, if you're running your independent business, whatever it is, you should be using some kind of tool because it just makes you so much smarter.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm using Granola right now and it'll help me summarize this. And then Riverside will also do it. So I kind of have two going, a little A/B test. And Riverside will do the full show notes. Like, it's amazing what's out
Yeah.
there.
Hmm.
Yeah, and definitely do try Jeeva.ai. We have a lot of that, plus like finding leads and enrichment and all the agentic fun stuff. And going on a digression, Summer, your cup says coffee for closers. That was literally the Git repository name for the first code base we made for Jeeva.ai. I
That's
will
funny.
Love
literally
it.
send you a screenshot right after that.
I love it.
Awesome.
So I got the mug for free
Nice
at
branding.
a Gartner conference, I think. And then the coffees for closers,
You're right.
part of my DNA now. So
It's an
it's
old
me. It's
reference.
mine now. I've been using this mug for 6 years. It's mine now.
Yes, the reference is from Summer, not from Glengarry Glen
Right.
Ross.
Oh boy. So I wanted to add one more tool. Piggybacking on Amirah's like record your calls. I spent some time as a sales coach. Oh my God, record your calls. There is an AI tool called Past Magic where you can load the call recordings and you give it like a workflow. And one of the standard workflows that it comes with is like follow-up stuff. So you load your discovery call and then it tells you, here's the things you should remember. Here are follow-up steps. Here's an email. Here's what you should do next. So it kind of coaches you through what to do after, turning, maybe a B rep into like that rock star just with the power of an AI tool.
Mhm.
That is so interesting. Gosh, it was a year ago or so at a conference. There was a woman from the NSA there, and she happened to work there while Edward Snowden was there, and that whole thing happened. And she was talking about how AI is going to take the hackers and make all of the like mediocre hackers. When you take a little bit of AI and a little bit of YouTube, going to make them really good hackers. And I feel like you're saying the same thing with less
Yes.
risk, Summer. More closing,
Absolutely.
less risk, of AI being able to really take all of us and make us that superstar player in our field.
Yeah, and I love that because I think if we think about just where we are, we're in this new era where it's not just sales reps anymore. If you think about it, the next big wave from a landscape standpoint would be these micro businesses. You have 8 people companies suddenly going from zero to 80 million revenue in a year. And they're just all engineers. They're no sales reps. They're founders who are probably like a Stanford or an MIT grad who doesn't even know how to talk to people. And that is the truth. That is how these are the new companies that are becoming the next unicorns. And it's an entirely PLG led movement. People are signing up on their own. It's all inbound, but now you have to go enterprise. Because again, the table stakes get higher, the board wants more revenue. So eventually the next big fit would be enterprise. Now, how do you change that culture to a sales culture, which is, I think, close to impossible? Which is where these AI tools come in and train people who might not necessarily be sales reps, but get them from a C minus to a B. And then you can start
Absolutely.
hiring more people.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of talk going on right now about, who's going to be the solo person to first make their own billion-dollar company. And at the end of the day, whoever that is, they're going to have to be good at sales, even with that product-led growth movement. And so it's really cool to see AI opening all these doors for us. So I wanted to take a little bit of a deep dive and talk about the role in automation. We've talked about that a little bit, but how are you seeing time consuming tasks give teams more times? I know you talked about better meetings, Summer, but what else are we seeing?
My God, so much. Do you have all year to talk about this? A couple things. Better qualification of leads. Sales, let's not spend time chasing somebody who's a poor fit. Marketing, guess what? That lead is garbage. Done. We're going to automate the nurturing of the lead that's not sales ready yet, and in a way that marketing automation has never been able to do, because we know who they are, we know that exact piece of content that they need. There's a chatbot that can talk to them late at night when they're thinking about it instead of waiting the next day. And then in addition to that, and I swear I'll let somebody else speak, the clients that are smaller, be they a prospect that's smaller or be they a client that's smaller, they need attention, they need help too, but it might not necessarily make sense, especially for a startup or a growth stage company, to have a human, a paid salaried human, talk to them so they can get help too, beyond just like, how do I reset my password type, or I want to download this case study type of things. I see the automation and especially the agentic helping in those areas, and I'm just a wee bit excited about that.
I'm excited about it too. I mean, as a buyer, I want the right message to get to me at the right time. Like, I want to buy things that I need, right? Being able to have companies and products in different industries know what I need and get me a message that's more custom to Jenny, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, and when I'm thinking about it right now, not Monday morning when I've moved on to 10 other different things.
Yeah, no, that's not going to help. It's like I've already bought something to fill that need. I don't need it anymore.
It's shifting our focus on, we used to measure success, not just by conversions, but by increased engagement and, shorter response times and repeat business. And I think this is like a great part of what I love about sales AI automation. The other thing that I really appreciate is, I got really interested in it when in product. I follow product a lot and like some of the key decisions that product leaders are building. And when AI was really birthing in product, I knew that it ultimately, right, it's got to land to sales. And there's a correlation because whatever you build, you must sell. I always tell my clients, it's like, I haven't met a business that's just building product just for fun to put on a shelf. Like, we build businesses to make money, right? And so anything you're building, generally you want to make some money. You want to get a return on your investment. So all of those things that are also built in product for AI automations, all the things we're learning, we can now feed that to our sales organization so that they can be able to get insights on how best to communicate. You know, Summer mentioned it, right? Like the marketing automation, right? We're getting much smarter, much better at being able to say, where did the client click? Where did they go? Why were they interested? Are they always making decisions in the evening? Should we maybe send them an email in the evening, right? And so all of these tools, what I get excited about is when AI is starting through engineering, through product, through marketing, starts to feed that data and gets to the sales rep so that the sales rep can actually focus on just closing based on the information that they get.
As a marketer, I know we collect a lot of this information, but don't necessarily have the ability to use it because there's so many users, so much data, and before AI, we couldn't necessarily take the right actions. I'm curious, when we take a look at, your new tool, Sumaya, can you tell me a little bit more about what it is, how it works, and like what the agentic component is?
It's pretty much what we're talking about right now. So think about AI owning the top of the funnel. You don't need human touch there. So think about it all the way from I will scrape your website and know exactly what your product does. I will have you give me your top 10 customers so I know what is a good fit customer. And then I will go out and search 100 people that fit exactly that ICP. I'm going to look up everything I know about them. I'm going to enrich data. If you already have a list that you're going after, I'm going to enrich that data. And now I'm going to draft personalized multi channel outreach for them, specifically for that, reach out to them. And when they respond back, book a meeting for you and put that meeting on your calendar.
So
And
cool.
and
So,
as you're talking to them, that's the fun part because I'm really excited about this.
yeah.
You get on the first call, it records you, updates everything, and puts it back into your CRM. So your med pick, your band, your medic, whatever you follow, is auto updated. So you have the update of your entire timeline. And then the AE basically wakes up to meetings in the morning.
That's
Now,
amazing.
that's pretty much like what we are like. That's our BHAG, like our big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yeah.
We've optimized quite a lot of that funnel, but our big vision is that AI will be like a reflection agent. So if that deal falls through, we'll go, oh, was there something wrong with the ICP? Was there something wrong with the messaging? What changed? Optimize that and give you your next 100 leads. And that's kind of how it's going to function.
Exciting.
That's cool. It's like ABM, but approachable for smaller companies who might not be able to afford the $200,000 platform or whatever and the huge
Or
team to
trying
run
to
it.
put together like 8 different tools, like a sixth sense for intent and
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
sales loft and an outreach, and trying to
Hmm.
put all of that together. And then you need a data analyst to put that data together to make sense of it. Then now you need a data warehouse and a snowflake to kind of figure it out. By the time like you actually get to insights, those insights are 3 months old. So trying to make that more dynamic and real time, just like everything else in AI is actually, I think, where we need to go.
Yeah, that real time piece is powerful. When you can do that, I think that's where the sales really start to stack up and add. Are there any limitations or guardrails that you would recommend our listeners to be thinking about as they use AI for more customer facing things?
Yeah, AI always hallucinates. You have to know that, period. I think there was a news article that came yesterday or something where ChatGPT told a guy who wants to reduce his sodium intake to say you can take, instead of sodium chloride, which is table salt, you can eat sodium bromide. And he poisoned himself. And that's a real story that happened. And, you know, granted, I was like, what were you thinking? Like, all these
You
tasks
need
are
the
done.
human in the loop, right? Someone to say,
Yeah.
hey, maybe don't do that.
So, a few things that, wow, I'm going to talk from a builder and then a consumer mindset. From a builder mindset, you have to know that no matter how good you make it, it will hallucinate, it will make up stuff, and maybe less and less so. It's never going to be 100% at the end of the day. So, you have to have very strong guardrails, very strong evals, which are available to see if your model is deteriorating, if there is data drift, if there's model drift. So, as builders, you have to be responsible builders to know that you cannot be feeding wrong information. And then, from a product standpoint, again, like you said, as much human in the loop as possible, instead of just sending out emails for like 100,000 people, which are all personalized, and two or three of them will be iffy. And those are the people who are going to yell at you. We allow for drafts to get created 50 at a time. So it just goes into your inbox as a draft, and a person can review it, edit it if they want, and then kind of run with it and slowly build trust with the system. When they say, okay, this is great, like Out of 50, 49 seem great. We'll just put it on like auto, like, but give the user that opportunity to build trust. And
Mhm.
from a user standpoint, I think it's very important to know that it's AI, it's not magic. A lot of people confuse the two. It can never be 100%. And acknowledging that error rate is extremely important, even from a user standpoint.
I
Yeah.
totally agree. One of the things I tell some of my clients is like, AI may give you information, they do think it's magic, and like, but you've got to retrain it, right? So it's only as good as also the data you're feeding into it. So if you don't recorrect, like that poor situation, right? That told this guy this bad thing, right? But if you don't redirect and retell it more information, it can't work with you. So you can't just stop, right? So you still need that human layer for nuance, for giving it information about relationship building, for context, for changing of tone. Give the tool feedback to make it better the next time around.
Absolutely, like you would with a team member, right? Like if there's a human team member that's not, doing something that we need to get something done, I would say, hey, can we have a conversation? And you can have that conversation with AI as well, and you can get your final product better.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to take it a whole different direction. Um, I haven't worked in HR, but working in financial services, specifically in payroll, I've worked adjacent to HR for a long time. And as far as guardrails, let's establish AI use policies before we give the AI tools to the employees, tell them what they can and can't do. Remember when you had to tell people not to talk smack about your client on Twitter? We have to do that again. And you have to decide your own security. I'm not a security expert, but everything that can be put into an AI model, unless you host it, is subject to breach. We need to be super careful with security there. And then do that first. That's all. And then while we're setting up these workflows, like I think it's super important to know your ideal buyer and what their tolerance level is and what their expectation level is. Again, I work in financial services. If I go like full Silicon Valley style AI on my clients, I lost them. So you have to know what your buyer's okay with receiving from a robot, and when they want to talk to a human and build your AI policies, be they client service, be they customer success, be they sales, around what your buyer wants and expects from you.
That's really interesting. I look at it a lot from like a board governance perspective and how should a board of an organization be thinking about AI. And we had the same thought for this framework that we're putting together is that when you're working with people, you should figure out what is acceptable to them and what isn't. For example, FinTech, like you said, Summer, or health tech. These are two areas you really don't want to get wrong. Like it matters. So that would be a smaller acceptance for error rate. Whereas some other industries, if you're doing marketing for a video game, there is some room. You still don't want to get it wrong a lot, but it's maybe not life or death. So I think it's really interesting looking at that. And then the thing you said about training people before the tool's out, that's huge.
And then maybe train the tool on also how it's supposed to work with the person. So I do that double, like that's in the foundational document is like what, like, because you have to give the tool guardrails too.
Yeah.
Here's how somebody's supposed to use you.
Yeah.
Yes, here's what you can and cannot do. And I really liked how Samaya had time built in. She's like the draft emails going into your inbox.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we started with a conversation on AI and human and making humans better. We can't throw out understanding the customer journey that we already built beforehand, right? We cannot forget the employee experience and how we train and make people better. We should never take that away. What we should use is tools to enhance that, right? So if you don't have a customer journey map, I would say you need one, right? You should take the time to build it so you understand how your customers interact at what point, so that when you use the tools are only make it better and faster for you and take some of the labor and the time, but it should never replace it.
Amirah, for our listeners who maybe don't have a customer journey written out yet, could they use AI to make one?
I mean, I think that it's great to use it as a framework, particularly if you don't know your business. But I do believe that every business customer journey is slightly different. I would say you can use some of your industries for different benchmarks, right? I was in, prop tech for a bit, right? When you're having a smaller company, there's a lot of models that are already out there. So I would tell AI a little bit, give them some competitors to follow to get an understanding. But even if you do that, I would still then do the old exercise, right? You go back to your last 10 clients that you've either sold or lost and go back and just map against that to make sure to validate that that model works. You do need to like roll up your sleeves a little bit because each company is different. You're solving different business needs. You're speaking to different clients. You're pricing differently. And those things that is what makes a business really unique. And you need to understand that for your company before you have the tool tell you what makes your company so unique.
Amira is making my
Fully
heart
agree.
sing 100% because I ran a webinar on product and how to like use AI frameworks. For everyone in big red bold, I wrote under it going like nothing replaces talking to your customer. No AI can replace that. Please do not come to me later. You have to know your customer. AI does not replace empathy. So at the end of the day, like, yeah, customer journey can be augmented. And more importantly, what I would like to add is validated. Once you have something, you can put that in and you can say, okay, tell me based on what you know, where you feel that this is like not common or this is different from the norm. And it might be because your company is a snowflake, it works a little differently, you know? But at the end of the day, at least you can validate that you're close to the industry standard or not. But yeah, don't let AI completely build it and think that that's the one. Uh, we will always have a customer journey because even if you build it with AI, you can still start somewhere, but you're just going to fall on your face a lot. You'll have to still keep optimizing.
And one just to
Yeah,
add to that too is in the customer journey too, I sometimes come in where people are saying, we build our customer journey, we know it, but we don't understand why there's a revenue cliff, right? Or we can't get past this point. Sometimes also there's like market conditions, industry conditions, right? So those things do impact your customer journey and you need to move and shift, but you need to be aware of that. And so those are things that you can also use AI to help give you indicators or insights to be able to figure out, okay, now that this thing is just shifted and changed, what does this mean or what can I expect to help you predict? But all those things impact your customer journey. And so to me, it's not a one-time exercise, it's a living, breathing document.
that's a really good point. And I think a good way to illustrate that is during the pandemic, I was working at a video game company. And so a lot of people had a bunch of time and they were stuck inside. So you can imagine our, users and everything went way, way up. And then as the market conditions changed, as the environment changed, as people went back outside, things went back to the way they were before. And you really need to be aware of how that market condition is going to be impacting your business. Is there any way to have AI help us do that?
Oh yeah, alerts. I'm like, I set up alerts for I love like news gathering, putting in, right, getting insights and thinking about I was in the home space for a bit, right? Like pandemic's a great example, right? Where we saw users there's a lot of great data that's already being built and created using the data insights that are real time and letting it help you predict what the future is I mean that's what data research does. Great data scientists help us do that. So I think there are lots of great ways to do that. And I think every business owner needs to do that for their industry because it's not just the pandemic, it's elections, it's political seasons, right? In every election year in sales, so there's always a shift in how money moves, right? It's the economy and understanding those trends. And so you need to know that and cannot think that your business can withstand everything that's happening in the world. You should be slightly alert of what's happening.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. I want to move to our next section, which I think is really fun. It is called Lightning Round. And I would like each of you to quickly answer these questions. Summer, which AI tool do you have strong feelings about this week?
Well, it's because I'm starting to test it. Claude Desktop's MCP. my clients are super security concerned. I'm looking at taking the custom GPT and building something desktop oriented, but I got to figure it out first. So I'm super hyped about that because I think it takes the chat GPT isn't secure, out of the conversation.
I'm going to go back to Honoré. I'm going to give them a little bit more of a plug because I love that they're doing sales templates now too. So for those that they've been doing some really interesting things, but I'm actually really curious. I want to love Samaya. I want to know more about her business. So I'm going to put her in my future box of a tool that I'm going to hope to love. I want to check it out.
Awesome.
This week, it's definitely Cursor. They just introduced ChatGPT 5, so, it started thinking smarter while it's coding. Again, it's not doing like, systems level engineering, but definitely it's gone beyond project level coding where, you can seriously think about writing probably with certain guardrails like production ready code. So I'm super excited. I've given it to my developers to like kind of try it out. And of course, everyone moans and groans.
What is your go-to resource for learning about AI?
Okay, so I show up religiously every Saturday for Women XAI. I always learn something new. I am a listener of, it's AI Daily Brief, I think. It's just a daily podcast where they boom, 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 and then so it's there, both of those.
Awesome. Thanks, Summer. And yes, you are always there, and we're always so excited to be in community with you online on LinkedIn.
I'm a big newsletter person. Like I follow Superhuman newsletter. Of course, we have to say Women in AI. All of our LinkedIn posts is a great resource as well. The TLDR is another one. I also look at Lenny's newsletter that he does for a product that it gives me insights on it. So those are probably the ones that I always try to like look out for and kind of read and scan to get the best information that I can.
Lenny's is so, so good. Love it.
I'm a big research paper person, and it usually is my like nighttime reading, and then I never finish it because I go off to sleep. So I found this new app called journal.io, and every day they find a new paper on AI and they kind of make it into a tiny audiobook, which is like 40 minutes long, so you can listen to it while learning about.
And lastly, what is your non-AI recommendation for the week? Books,
Ooh,
recipes, podcasts,
yes.
something not AI.
Okay, so it's me, so it's food. Corn is in season and delicious right now, and I have a really fun recipe for like white chili. It can be vegetarian, vegan, or it has meat, but it's really corn heavy and it's delicious.
Amazing. Well, we're going to need a link to that. I'll put it in the show notes.
Can do.
Awesome.
I'm gonna say Libby. It's a app that you can use for audiobooks, and sometimes you need to detach. It's free through your local library, or you can use Spotify or whatever. But as long as you have a library card, let's go old school. You pop it into Libby. You can pick a podcast, and as you are chopping vegetables or whatever you're doing, or taking a walk, you can listen to a great audiobook and just decompress. So I'm gonna say the Libby app.
AI and chopping vegetables and listening to research papers, you can't fall asleep with a knife in your hand, so it helps.
Well, that's one way to get in information. And I do know you love the research papers. So now I know your trick, and I'm looking forward to leveling up alongside you.
I mean, I will be judged heavily, but I'm rewatching all of Love is Blind, like all the seasons. And, it makes me feel better about myself because the days you come back and you go like, oh, I can't do anything, things are so rough. And I'm like, these people exist on this planet. This is great.
Yeah, you're crushing it.
I'm like, that's fine. They just decided to get married in like 6 days without seeing this other dude. Cool. I'm way better. Really lifts me up.
Exactly. That is a good feel-good rec for sure. Lastly, I wanted to ask you all this one question. This is how we like to end the podcast, is how can the Women XAI community help you? Summer, let's start with you.
What's really fun is when I meet somebody in the chat or in the comments, and then they come on my podcast and we have a conversation and we share it with the world, and then we kind of help boost each other, it's borrow each other's audiences. So I just want more of that.
We can make that happen. We have a ton of women that can come on your show. Can't wait. Amazing. Amirah, how about you? How can we help?
I I love hearing how other leaders are integrating AI in new ways that improve not just sales metrics, but just like the experience of their lives. I find that the more people are playing around with it, it's a great testimony of like why I should keep playing with AI and what gets me excited. So I love hearing all the stories and the recommendations. So bring on more of that.
We can absolutely do that. Amazing. And Sumaya?
Yeah, I think like the best part is meeting amazing people. It's like I've never spoken to Summer, but I kind of know her already because I've like interacted with her in the comments, and I always imagined this is what her personality is going to be. She's going to be like this ball of energy, and everyone around her just becomes happy just because she's there. That's just her personality. And you can kind of see that in the comments, and just having like the support of so many women. I would love to do like random like meet and greets with like just one-on-ones with like amazing women. And I know, Jenny, you always keep making connections of wherever you see, is a fit. But I think like having that on a regular basis where you can kind of round robin through the community and meet each other like over Zoom, that'll be awesome.
Absolutely. We're partnering with a company called Gossip Goblin, run by Meg McWilliams, to do something like that. So stay
Sure.
tuned. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. It has been amazing to learn about the intersection of AI and sales with each of you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Jen.